Everything begins in the mind. The way you think shapes the way you live. If your thoughts are small, your life will be small. If your dreams are limited, your results will be limited. But the moment you dare to think bigger, to stretch beyond what seems comfortable or possible, you open the door to an entirely different reality. See, most people don't fail because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity. They fail because they never allow themselves to think beyond their current circumstances. They shrink their dreams down to match their fears rather than expanding their mindset to match their true potential. They say, I could never do that, or people like me don't succeed at that level. And the moment they do, they've already lost the battle. Because if you don't even give yourself permission to think bigger, how could you possibly achieve more? History is not written by those who played it safe. It is written by those who had the audacity to think beyond their environment, beyond their limitations, beyond what anyone else told them was possible. Look at the greatest innovators, the most successful entrepreneurs, the most influential leaders. None of them started with a guarantee of success. They weren't given a roadmap. But they did have one thing in common: a mindset that refused to accept mediocrity. Think about Thomas Edison. Do you really believe the world was eagerly waiting for some guy to fail 1,000,000 times before he got a light bulb to work? No. Most people would have quit after the first 100 failures, convinced that it was impossible. But Edison didn't see failure as a stop sign. He saw it as a stepping stone. He thought bigger. He believed that light could be harnessed, that darkness could be defeated. And because he thought bigger, he changed the world. The same pattern repeats over and over in history. The Wright brothers had no business believing humans could fly. At the time, the world was filled with skeptics who laughed at the idea. But they ignored the limitations of their time, ignored the doubters, and pursued their vision anyway. Now, every single day, millions of people travel across the sky because two men dared to think beyond the boundaries of what was considered possible. And here's where it gets real. This principle doesn't just apply to inventors or world leaders. It applies to you. Right now, in your own life, you are either thinking big or thinking small. You are either expanding your future or confining it. And I can tell you this: whatever you believe is possible, you will find a way to prove yourself right. If you think small, you will live small. You will settle for less. You will accept a life that is beneath what you are capable of. But if you think big, if you allow yourself to imagine a greater future, you will start to act differently. You will start to move differently. You will develop the habits, the skills, and the discipline required to match that vision. Now, let's be clear. Thinking big does not mean wishful thinking. It's not about sitting around and hoping success lands in your lap. It's about adopting a mindset that refuses to settle, that demands growth, that constantly searches for ways to expand what is possible. It means looking at obstacles not as barriers, but as puzzles waiting to be solved. It means looking at failures not as proof that you should quit, but as feedback that brings you closer to mastery. So many people will tell you to be realistic. They'll say, don't get your hopes up, play it safe, stay in your lane. But let me ask you something. Who decides what's realistic? Who decides what's possible for you? Is it the people who have settled for less? The ones who are afraid to chase their own dreams? Or is it you? Because I'll tell you right now, every single person who has ever achieved greatness was told at some point that they were being unrealistic, and yet they went ahead and did it anyway. Thinking big doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you redefine it. It means you take control of the way you see the world and refuse to let your current circumstances dictate your future. It means you stop accepting limitations just because others do, because the truth is, there is no law in the universe that says you have to stay where you are. There is no rule that says your future must look like your past. The only thing determining that is how you choose to think. And here's the kicker. Thinking big is not just about achieving success for yourself. It's about what you can do for the world. Because when you elevate your thinking, when you push past the boundaries that others accept, you don't just change your life. You inspire others to do the same. You become an example of what is possible. You become the reason someone else dares to dream bigger, work harder, and refuse to settle. So the question is not whether thinking big works. The question is whether you will allow yourself to do it, whether you will rise above the small thinking that keeps people trapped. whether you will challenge yourself to break free from limitations, to expand your vision, and to step boldly into a future that is waiting for you to claim it. Because the truth is, the size of your thinking determines the size of your life, and if you dare to think bigger, the results will be bigger than you ever imagined. Belief is the foundation of everything you will ever accomplish. It is the invisible force that drives action, that shapes decisions, that determines how far you go in life. If you believe in yourself, truly believe, you will find a way to push forward, to endure setbacks, to rise above obstacles. But if you doubt yourself, even for a moment, you will hesitate, you will hold back, and eventually you will quit. And this is what separates those who achieve greatness from those who never even try: belief. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they never believed it was possible in the first place. Before you achieve anything in the world, you have to first achieve it in your mind. You have to see it, to feel it, to know deep down that it is not just possible, but inevitable. Because if you don't believe it, how could you possibly convince anyone else? How could you sustain the effort, the discipline, the sacrifices required to turn that vision into reality? Think about every great success story. It always starts the same way, with someone who saw something that no one else could see, a vision that seemed impossible, ridiculous even, and yet they refused to back down. They refused to let doubt creep in. They held on to that belief with a grip so strong that no failure, no rejection, no obstacle could shake it. And eventually the world had no choice but to catch up. Take someone like Elon Musk. Imagine how much belief it takes to wake up one day and say, I'm going to send rockets into space, when you have no experience in aerospace engineering. People laughed, experts doubted him, and he failed over and over again. But he didn't stop. Why? Because his belief in the vision was stronger than the criticism, stronger than the failures, stronger than the pain of losing. And because of that, what once seemed impossible is now history. But this isn't just about entrepreneurs or billionaires. This is about you. Because right now, there is something in your life that you want to achieve, something that calls to you, but you keep hesitating. You keep telling yourself you're not ready, that you don't have enough experience, that you're not good enough, that someone else is better suited for the job. And every time you do that, every time you entertain those thoughts, you reinforce the belief that you are not capable. You start to convince yourself that maybe those doubts are right. And once that happens, you've already lost. What you believe about yourself becomes your reality. If you believe you are not good enough, you will find proof everywhere. You will notice every mistake, every shortcoming, every failure, and use it as confirmation that you're not meant for success. But if you believe that you are capable, that you are built for something greater, you will start to see the world differently. You will look at setbacks as lessons, not signs to quit. You will look at challenges as opportunities to grow, not barriers to stop you. And here's the thing. Belief is not something you wait for. It's not something that magically appears once you have enough evidence or enough success. It's something you cultivate. You build it brick by brick through action. You train your mind every single day, just like a muscle. Because if you don't, doubt will creep in and take over. This is why so many people get stuck. They think, I'll believe in myself once I see results. But that's backward. You don't wait for results to believe. You believe first and the results follow. You act as if success is inevitable, and then you do the work to prove yourself right. And yes, this is hard, because there will be moments when everything goes wrong, when you fail, when people criticize you, when it feels like you are the only person in the world who believes in what you're doing. But that is the test. That is the moment when most people give up. And that is exactly why you must push through. Because the ones who succeed are not always the smartest, the most talented, or the luckiest. They are the ones who refuse to stop believing, no matter what. So ask yourself, what do you believe about your future? Are you setting yourself up for success, or are you letting doubt dictate your actions? Because belief is a choice. And the moment you decide to believe in yourself without hesitation, without apology, without conditions, everything changes. It's not just about thinking big. It's not just about having dreams. It's about holding on to the absolute conviction that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you are meant for something greater. Because when you believe in yourself, truly and unapologetically, the world will have no choice but to believe in you too. Ideas are cheap, dreams are easy. Anyone can sit back and imagine a better future, a grand vision, a life filled with success, purpose, and fulfillment. But imagining is not enough. Dreaming is not enough. The world does not reward those who simply think about what they want. It rewards those who are willing to act, to move, to step into the unknown and do the difficult, painful, exhausting work of turning vision into reality. And this is where most people get stuck. They have big ideas, big ambitions, big dreams, but when the time comes to execute, they freeze, they hesitate, they wait for the perfect moment, for more confidence, for some kind of guarantee that their effort won't be wasted, and in doing so, they become trapped, not by failure, but by inaction. Because the truth is, inaction is the real killer of potential. It is the slow, silent force that suffocates dreams before they ever have a chance to live. Why do people hesitate? Why do they stop themselves before they even begin? Fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of wasting time, fear of not being good enough. They convince themselves that they need more time, more preparation, more certainty, and yet time passes. Days turn into months, months into years, and suddenly they find themselves looking back, wondering why they never took the leap. But here's the reality. No one who has ever achieved anything meaningful started with certainty. No one had all the answers before they took action. They started before they were ready. They moved even when they were afraid. They figured it out along the way. Because action, not thought, is what creates clarity. You don't think your way into confidence. You act your way into it. You don't wait until you're fearless to begin. You begin, and in doing so, you become fearless. Look at anyone who has ever accomplished something great. They didn't just sit around visualizing success. They took the first step. They made mistakes. They adjusted. They tried again. Edison didn't just think about inventing the light bulb. He built. He failed. He built again. Michael Jordan didn't just dream of being the greatest basketball player. He spent thousands of hours on the court, missing shots, losing games, pushing his limits. Steve Jobs didn't just talk about changing the world. He built, tested, risked everything, and kept moving forward, even when the odds were stacked against him. And yet, most people still believe that they need some kind of special motivation, some perfect alignment of the stars before they can act. But that's not how it works. You don't wait for motivation, you create it. You don't wait for the right moment, you make the moment right by taking action now. Because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes. Inaction breeds hesitation. Hesitation breeds doubt. And doubt is the beginning of failure. This is why discipline matters more than inspiration. Inspiration is fleeting. It's easy to feel motivated when you hear a powerful speech or read an uplifting book. But what happens the next morning when reality sets in, when the work is hard, when the results don't come fast enough? That's when discipline takes over. That's when action must be a habit, not a feeling. Because the people who succeed are not the ones who always feel motivated. They are the ones who take action even when they don't. And this is the harsh truth. Most people will never do this. They will talk about their dreams, they will make plans, they will wait for the right moment, and then they will wait forever. And then one day they will wake up and realize that life has passed them by, that the opportunities they once had are gone, that their potential was wasted, not because they weren't smart enough or talented enough, but because they never had the courage to move. But you don't have to be one of those people. You can choose differently. You can act. You can decide right now that you will not be someone who simply dreams. You will be someone who does. That you will not let fear, doubt, or hesitation hold you back. That you will take the first step, no matter how small, and then another, until movement becomes momentum, and momentum becomes success. Because the truth is, your future is not determined by what you think or what you wish for. It is determined by what you do. And if you are willing to act, to push forward, even when it's hard, even when it's terrifying, even when it feels like nothing is working, then there is nothing in this world that can stop you. Fear is the single greatest force that holds people back from the life they are capable of living. It disguises itself in 1,000 different ways: self-doubt, hesitation, excuses, but at its core it is always the same. It is the whisper in your mind that says, what if I fail? What if I try and it all falls apart? And so instead of stepping forward, instead of facing the unknown, people stay where they are. They settle. They convince themselves that comfort is better than risk, that safety is better than struggle. But in doing so, they trap themselves, not in failure, but in the slow, suffocating death of potential. Because here's the truth. Fear is not meant to stop you. It is meant to challenge you. It is meant to test whether or not you are truly committed to what you say you want. Every person who has ever achieved anything great has felt fear. Every leader, every innovator, every champion has known what it's like to stand at the edge of uncertainty and feel the pull to step back. But they did not let fear decide for them. They did not give it power over their actions. And because of that, they moved forward while others stayed behind. Fear will always be there. It does not disappear when you succeed. It does not vanish the moment you achieve something great. If anything, the more you grow, the more fear you will face. Because growth demands that you step into new territory, and every time you do, there will be a part of you that wants to retreat. But here is where most people get it wrong. They think fear is a signal to stop, when in reality, it is a sign that you are on the right path. Fear only shows up when you are moving towards something that matters. If you feel nothing, if there is no resistance, then you are not growing, you are not challenging yourself, you are simply repeating the past. Challenges are the same way. People see obstacles as barriers, as signs that they should turn around. They think if this were meant for me, it wouldn't be this hard. But that is a lie. Because nothing worth having comes without resistance. The difficulty, the struggle, the setbacks, these are not signs to quit. They are the price of entry. They are the necessary tests that separate those who truly want something from those who only say they do. And yet most people avoid these challenges. They take the easier path, the one with fewer obstacles, fewer difficulties. But what they don't realize is that by avoiding struggle, they are also avoiding growth. Because every challenge is an opportunity. Every failure, every setback, every rejection is a lesson. It is feedback. It is information that, if used correctly, will make you stronger, sharper, more capable. Think about the greatest people in history. Do you think they got there by avoiding fear, by running from challenges? No. They faced them head on. They walked into the storm. And because of that, they came out stronger on the other side. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. 27 years. He could have let that break him. He could have given in to bitterness, to anger, to hopelessness. But he didn't. He used that time to become the man who would later change a nation. He turned his suffering into strength. And you have that same ability. You may not realize it, but within you is the capacity to endure, to overcome, to rise above whatever stands in your way. The only difference between those who succeed and those who don't is the decision to face fear rather than run from it. To see challenges not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones. So what will you do? Will you let fear control you? Will you let obstacles define you? Or will you step forward anyway? Because the truth is, fear will never disappear. Challenges will never stop coming. But neither will your ability to rise above them. And if you have the courage to do that, to keep moving forward despite the fear, despite the difficulties, then there is no limit to what you can achieve. When you take bold action, when you step up and commit to something bigger than yourself, the effects don't just stop with you. They spread. They touch the lives of others in ways you may never fully understand. One decision, one courageous step, one act of discipline or defiance against mediocrity, these things set off a chain reaction. And whether you realize it or not, your choices are shaping the world around you. Most people underestimate this. They think their actions exist in isolation, that what they do or don't do only affects their own life, but that's not true. Because every move you make, every risk you take, every refusal to back down in the face of difficulty, it all sends a signal. To your family, to your friends, to the people who look up to you, even if you don't know they're watching. When you choose to act big, to believe in something greater, you give others permission to do the same. You show them what is possible. Think about the people who have inspired you the most in your life. They weren't necessarily the richest, the most famous, or the most powerful. They were the ones who stood for something, the ones who refused to accept limitations, who walked into the unknown with conviction, who made you believe, even for a moment, that you could do the same. That's the ripple effect. That's what happens when you stop playing small and start showing up fully. And this is why your decisions matter more than you think. Because there is someone out there right now who needs to see you succeed, someone who needs to know that their own doubts, fears, and limitations are not final. It could be your younger sibling, a co-worker, a friend who secretly admires your courage but never tells you. It could be a complete stranger who stumbles across your story at exactly the right moment. You don't always get to see the impact you make, but that doesn't mean it isn't happening. The problem is most people never reach this stage. They never act big because they're afraid of what others will think. They hold themselves back because they don't want to stand out. They want to be judged. Don't want to take the risk of failing publicly. And so they shrink themselves. They stay within the lines. They play it safe. And in doing so, they not only rob themselves of their own potential, they rob others of the chance to be inspired by them. Because playing small doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone around you. When you settle for less, you silently tell others that they should too. When you hesitate, when you doubt yourself, when you refuse to step into the person you were meant to be, you reinforce the belief that greatness is reserved for someone else, that success is for other people. But the opposite is also true. When you act big, when you take the leap despite the fear, when you commit to something fully and give it everything you have, you don't just elevate your own life, you elevate everyone around you. You raise the standard. You create an environment where striving for more is the expectation, not the exception. And over time, that changes everything. Think about the great movements in history. The civil rights movement, the fight for women's suffrage, the breakthroughs in science and technology that reshaped the world. These things did not happen because one person had a dream. They happened because one person took action, and then another, and then another. That's how real change happens, one bold decision at a time. And it's not just about changing the world, it's about changing yourself. Because the more you push forward, the more you challenge yourself, the more you refuse to back down, the stronger you become. And that strength, that confidence, that certainty, it doesn't just stay with you. It spreads. It becomes a force that others can feel. It makes you the kind of person who lifts people up simply by existing, by showing them through your actions that there is more available to them than they ever imagined. So ask yourself, what kind of impact are you making? Are you acting in a way that inspires others to rise, to think bigger, to push beyond their own limitations? Or are you playing small, letting fear dictate your choices, allowing hesitation to rob you and everyone around you of what could be? Because whether you realize it or not, your actions are sending a message, and you have a choice in what that message will be. When you act big, when you refuse to settle, when you take risks that others are too afraid to take, you create a ripple effect that extends far beyond what you can see. And one day, someone will look at you and say, because of you, I didn't give up. And that, more than money, more than fame, more than any personal success, is what it truly means to make a difference. The way you see the world, the way you think about yourself, the way you interpret challenges and opportunities, these things shape your reality more than you realize. Your results in life are not random. They are not purely a matter of luck or circumstance. They are a direct reflection of your mindset. The way you think determines the way you act, and the way you act determines what you achieve. It is as simple and as difficult as that. Most people don't want to hear this. They want to believe that success is external, that it's something handed out by fate or granted to a lucky few, but it isn't. It is built from the inside out. It starts with how you think. And if your mindset is weak, if it is filled with doubt, fear, and limitations, then no matter how much effort you put in, your results will reflect that. It's like a filter. Two people can look at the same situation, the same challenge, the same setback, and see two completely different things. One sees failure, the other sees a lesson. One sees an impossible obstacle, the other sees an opportunity to grow. The circumstances are the same, the difference is the mindset. And that difference determines everything. Because what you believe about yourself and the world dictates what you are willing to attempt. If you believe you are destined to fail, if you believe that the odds are stacked against you, that success is for other people but not for you, then your actions will reflect that belief. You will hesitate, you will self-sabotage, you will look for excuses rather than solutions, and in the end, your results will confirm what you already believed. Because you never really gave yourself a chance. But if you adopt the mindset that success is possible, that growth is inevitable, that obstacles are not dead ends but stepping stones, then your actions will reflect that belief too. You will try harder. You will persist longer. You will find solutions where others only see problems. And over time, your results will prove your mindset right, because the world tends to give you exactly what you expect from it. No, that's the hard truth. Your mindset is either working for you or against you. It is either lifting you up or holding you back. And the dangerous thing is most people don't even realize the beliefs they have adopted. They don't question the thoughts that run through their minds every day, shaping their decisions, their confidence, their willingness to take risks. They assume that the way they think is just the way things are, when in reality, it is a choice, a habit, something that can be changed. This is why self-awareness is so critical. You have to examine your own thinking. You have to challenge the beliefs that tell you that you are not capable, that you are not worthy, that success is beyond your reach. Because if you let those beliefs go unchecked, they will dictate the course of your life. Not because they are true, but because you will make them true through your actions or your inaction. Look at the most successful people in any field. They are not the ones who never failed. They are not the ones who had the easiest path. They are the ones who refused to accept limiting beliefs. They are the ones who conditioned their minds to see possibility where others saw dead ends. They took control of their own thinking, and because of that, they took control of their own results. And the same is true for you. The results you are getting in your life right now, whether in your career, your relationships, your health, are a reflection of your mindset. If you are not happy with those results, the answer is not just to work harder, it is to think differently, to rewire the way you interpret challenges, setbacks, and opportunities, to replace fear with action, doubt with belief, hesitation with commitment. Because once your mindset shifts, your entire life shifts with it. The world doesn't change. Your circumstances don't magically improve overnight, but your approach does. And that changes everything. So the question is, what kind of results do you want? And are you willing to change the way you think to get them? Because at the end of the day, your mindset will shape your future more than anything else. And if you refuse to settle for small thinking, if you commit to expanding your vision, to challenging your doubts, to strengthening your mental discipline, then your results will reflect that. They have to, because the world is simply a mirror reflecting back the person you choose to become. Everything begins in the mind. The way you think determines the way you believe, and what you believe dictates the way you act, and in the end, your actions shape your reality. If you think small, you will live small. If you believe in limits, you will be confined by them. If you hesitate to act, you will watch as opportunities pass you by. But the moment you shift your mindset, when you choose to think big, believe big, and act with unwavering conviction, the world begins to open up in ways you never imagined. There will always be fear. There will always be obstacles. The path forward will never be smooth or easy. But those who achieve great things are not the ones who wait for the perfect moment. They are the ones who move forward despite the uncertainty, despite the struggle, despite the voices, both internal and external, telling them to stop. They are the ones who refuse to let fear dictate their choices, who turn challenges into stepping stones, who act boldly and create momentum. that inspires others to rise as well. Your results will be a direct reflection of your mindset and your actions. No one is coming to hand you success. No one is going to believe in you more than you believe in yourself, and no one can do the work for you. The responsibility is yours. The power is yours. So what will you choose? Will you let doubt, hesitation, and fear control your future, or will you commit fully, completely to thinking bigger, believing without limits, and acting with the kind of purpose that turns dreams into reality? Because if you do, the results will be undeniable. They will be massive. They will be exactly as big as the vision you dared to chase